Hey y'all, what's going on? Happy Monday. It is Monday, y'all, and it is a true Monday. And I just wanted to come on here and have a little bit of conversation. I don't get a lot of downtime these days, but when I do have some downtime, I try to be as intentional as possible as coming on here, just dropping some nuggets, sharing some knowledge about what I've experienced, what I've done, just some tools to try to help you guys to grow and to do better and be better. And so, those of you, if you have already been following me, you guys know over this past weekend rather, I had the opportunity to attend this amazing conference, and it's not often, which it should be more often, which is what I'm going to talk about tonight. I mean, this morning, it should be more often that we're having experiences that are kind of like beyond where we are. So a lot of times, I am the speaker at conferences. I'm going to conferences kind of just to speak, and one thing about it though, I am going to be intentional about trying to find a space where I can like learn and get knowledge, even if I'm in a space of speaking. Because I never feel like just because I'm speaking, there's not something that I can learn and glean. So I try to make sure that I'm there for the entire conference, maybe the weekend, maybe the day before. If I go to a conference on the weekend, 10 times out of 10, I'm going to find somewhere maybe that Sunday to be poured into. Because I just believe that as much as we pour, we have to be poured back into. However, one thing that I have um, learned is that you have to always remain teachable, right? You have to always remain teachable. And a lot of times I feel like, we feel like we know enough. Or we invest in the wrong places. We spend our money in the wrong places. We spend our time in the wrong places. That's not actually going to yield us a benefit. And then we complain about where we are. So this morning, I just really came to have the conversation about making sure that you get in the right rooms, right? Not even just attending conferences, because sometimes people are just so conference out. You have attended every conference there is, every brunch there is. You are on the list. You are going. You are investing. But I want to talk about the difference of being in the right rooms. And this is not just as it pertains to spiritually, right? Going to brunches and different things like that. But this is also about being in the right rooms for where you're trying to go, period. All right. Not just the spiritual rooms, not just business rooms, but for whatever it is that you're trying to get to next. It's so important that you find yourself in the right rooms and making better decisions. And this weekend, I can say that I made a really good decision, right? I was in the room with a lot of other Black entrepreneurs that are doing way better than me. And I was not intimidated, y'all. I was inspired. I'm going to say that again. I wasn't intimidated. I was inspired. And oftentimes, sometimes we get in rooms with people that are doing better than us. And instead of us being inspired, we become intimidated by what they're doing. And so I was in the room with other entrepreneurs that were doing better than where I am, or I wouldn't say better, right? But they're in a space where I'm trying to get to. And it was nothing but inspiration. When I say, first of all, you guys know I'm an executor, so it was hard to sit in my seat and not get a new skill and not feel like I needed to implement it right there in the moment. But even after leaving, I had the opportunity to kind of just decompress myself, just kind of like just sit for a moment. I didn't rush and leave, rush to get back home. I took a minute to really digest the information that I received. And I learned so much about myself. One thing I will say is that when you're building businesses, you're building ministries, whatever it is you're trying to build, even if you're trying to build your home, right? The first thing that has to change is you. Right. Oftentimes in relationships, in your homes, in your business, in your church, it's always the conversation about everybody else and what everybody else needs to do and how everybody else needs to shift and everybody else needs to change. But can I tell you guys that one of the moments for me was understanding that I have to change, right? I have to shift. I have to think different. I have to elevate my mind. I need to get more organized. I have to shift the way that I think about where I am right now and how life is lifing for me, because oftentimes we think about, oh, life is life in me, right? That we don't stop to really be able to assess, how is life in me, right? How did I even get to this place, right? And what can I do so that I don't get here again, but also get myself out, right? There's always a way out. So I learned so much really about me, about myself, about how I lead, and how I follow in ways that I can improve myself. And so if I can encourage anybody, it would be to get in the right rooms. Like, even if you're not a doctor yet, go find yourself in the room with other doctors, right? If you're not a nurse yet, go find yourself in the room with other nurses. Find different programs that are catered towards where you're trying to go. Those of you that say over and over again, like, I want to build wealth, I want to be an entrepreneur, all those conversations. Why aren't you in the room with other entrepreneurs? And I'm gonna tell you, it's not the money, right? Because we find money for everything else that we want to do, even if it's eating out, whatever. We find the finances to do it. It has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with the mindset. And has everything to do with the mindset. And so we spend our money where we want to spend our money, and we do what we want to do. But I'm telling y'all, one of the biggest life-changing things that you could ever do is find yourself in the spaces, in the rooms, around the people that are going where you're trying to go, because sometimes we're around people that don't understand where we're trying to go, and a lot of times they would discourage you from pursuing and going after the thing that you want to do. And so you got to find yourself in the room with people that are going, if you hear me, even if you want to be healed, right? Let's just go deeper, right? It ain't even got nothing to do with if you want to have a business, if you just want to be healed, if you just want to live better, you got to go get in the rooms with people that are working towards healing and wanting to do better. And oftentimes we're surrounded around people that are not going in the same direction that we're trying to go. This is why the Lord has given me such a different approach as it pertains to ministry, right? Because we can jump and shout and holler, speak in tongues, and all those other kind of things all day long, right? But if there is not a practical plan in place that shows me how to shift out and allow my praise to work for me and allow the word to work for me, then I remain the same. So we have to go. So creating spaces for me, even in the ministry, in the well, has been very strategic, because I want to show us how to be well in our minds, how to be well. We can say it all day long, like the Bible says that he wants you to be well, not just in your spirit, not just in your soul, but he wants your entire being to be well. But there are some people that say, I know that that's what the word says, but how do I obtain that, right? How do I get there? And so getting in the right rooms teach you that. Right. So that's why I'm committed to creating a space at the well that is not just wrapped around a person. Right. The well is not a brand. The well is not me. I just am one of the leaders that the Father has chosen to be a part of the well, but the well belongs to God. All right. I got my own thing going on. I got my things that I'm building, but the well belongs to God. But the vision that God has given me for the well, it's my responsibility to play it out. It's my responsibility to put those things in place. And so whatever God has called you to do, I'm telling you, go get in the rooms of the people. Listen, whatever it is that you want to do, go get in the room, surround yourself around the people. We say it all the time. Listen, when I was in that room, I didn't realize, and I knew that it was possible, right? Because I've been in those rooms before. But here's the thing, this is what I said. I said, I can be so caught up in what I'm doing that I don't really take a moment to work on what I'm building. right? So I had been in rooms with people that was making, millions of dollars. And listen, there was a girl that was in the room. It was a mom and I think like a daughter, and they had like a t-shirt business. I kid y'all not. They said their t-shirt business in 1 month had made $324,000 in a t-shirt business. In a t-shirt business. I called my daughter up. I said, listen, y'all got some work to do. I'm going to give y'all some assignments because I need y'all to get it together. But being in the rooms, it caused me to dream again. And life will cause us to stop dreaming. Come on. Life will cause us to believe that it's no longer possible because everything that I'm experiencing right now, it doesn't seem like it's possible, right? Life will life us, and you get hurt, you start to go into debt, right? You get into bad relationships, you have bad experiences, and all of those things will cause you to then become handicapped. It will cause you to believe, hey, I can't dream no more. That life is it's not obtainable because all I can see in front of me is brokenness, right? All I can see in front of me is poverty. All I can see in front of me is what's not happening, is what's not working. And so when you find yourself in spaces where I feel God, when you're in rooms and you're just in a space where you're like, God, something is not working, something is not clicking, then what you have to do is position yourself, right? Take the initiative, be intentional about being in rooms that have what you're looking for. So I'm gonna be honest, I was in a overwhelming place. Hear me. I was in a overwhelming place. I'm like, Lord, I got two children. I'm pastoring a church in another state. I'm traveling back and forth every weekend, right? Like I'm doing all of these different things. And I was in a place that I was just so overwhelmed. I could not see the end of the tunnel, right? I could not see the light. Like I was like, Lord, I feel like I'm living my life every single day. Like I had to put my business to the back burner because my focus was building, the ministry and making sure the leaders are in place. And so I felt like I was drowning. And so when I booked this, to come to this event, it was one of those things where I didn't know if it was even the right time, because I was like, Lord, I don't know if I can leave the ministry to go, because you know how it is when you're trying to build ministry and you want to be present and different things like that. And I said, I didn't know. But once I got in the room, I'm gonna be honest, all that went away. I was like, I needed to be in this room. Like I needed to be in this space. And it wasn't just to help my business, but what the next looks like for the well. Like it gave me the tools I needed for the well, but I felt like, and when I got in the room, I realized I wasn't the only one. And this is what, even what we built at the well, I can say, because I can speak for the ministry that I'm a part of. Even what we built at the well is to really help people too, that you're not by yourself. One of the members of the parties of the ministry, she texted me and she was like, man, like every single time you post something, like it's on point, it's exactly what I needed, and it's the transparency of my life. And I'm learning this because I went through a phase of my life for 10 years that I was silent. I suffered in silence. I was quiet. Everybody thought that my life was perfect, everything that was wonderful. And I don't share every ounce of my life, but I went through a phase where I was looked at as everything was perfect. You know what I'm saying? And then I realized like that's just not real life. But I'm realizing even now in these moments that like being vulnerable is not a bad thing. It's being vulnerable in the wrong places, and sometimes being vulnerable about things that God has not really released you to share. But being vulnerable is not a bad thing. And so even being in that room, it allowed me to realize that, Takara, you're not by yourself. Right. And I was getting to the point where I've created the same space at the well. Right. That you're not by yourself. You're not the only one that's been divorced. You're not the only one that's struggling with your children. You're not the only one that has adult children that's driving you crazy, that's getting on your nerves. You know what I'm saying? That you're trying to navigate being a mom with a dog. Like you're not the only one going through. And what it builds is it builds community. It builds community. And so being in that space, it allowed me to be a part of a community that now I know I'm not the only one going through this. I'm not the only one that feels stuck. I'm not the only one that feels overwhelmed. I'm not the only one that's finding myself in a place where I feel stuck. Right. And here's the thing that I love. I'm about to help somebody, that I teach how not to be stuck. But this is why I tell you that every coach needs a coach, that I'm not a coach because I got it all together. I'm a coach because I know more than what some other people know, but I don't know everything. And so for my next, I have to go be in the rooms of the people that have my next. And so I'm telling y'all today, I want to encourage you guys. I'm going to challenge you. Go get in the rooms and go get in the right rooms. Some of us are getting in rooms to be seen and not getting in rooms to learn, right? You going in rooms because you are the one that knows everything, not in the rooms of the people that really have the ability to gather you together, to have the ability to look inside and say, hey, listen, this is what you need to do to get to your next. And again, it ain't just about business. I see you're broken, right? But I want you to be in a healed place, because sometimes when you're around people that always rely on you, that always need you, they can't see that, right? This is why you have to be in the rooms with people that have the capacity. Y'all hear me talk about it all the time, that have the capacity. Majority of my people that I talk to on a day-to-day basis are all older than me, that are all seasoned people. Why? Because I don't need to keep having conversations with people that I am always the one that knows everything, because I'm learning nothing. So go get in the rooms. Stop being afraid to get in the rooms. Stop being afraid to branch out. I know, like in y'all don't believe it. My girl Shanice, I just think she's on the line. And I know people don't believe this. Like I can have this right here, like going on, but I know people really don't believe when I say that I really am an introvert and I really am shy, but I really am. So some, like, even going in the room, and my best friend, she would tell you, like, I'm very overwhelmed. I'm still to myself. I'm a speak and laugh and joke or whatever. But even for us introverted people, us shy people, we got to go get in the rooms. Like when you want something different, you got to do something different. And when I walk in the room, like I'm good one on one. Let me tell y'all, if I meet somebody one on one, I'm good. Like if I meet somebody and when I hit the stage, it's a whole nother story. Because once I hit the stage, it's on to pop, because I'm passionate about what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I just want to see transformation. So I'm good. But when it comes to like walking into rooms and going into places, like y'all, I struggle really, really hard, but I'm learning more and more that I have to. I was talking to my grandfather, true story, yesterday, and I was telling my grandfather, I said, "Hey," I said, like, I'm getting ready to, move back, and he was just like, because he know me, he was even saying how like he was like, you just gotta get. He got me T. He was like, you really gotta get used to being around people again, T. And I was like, I know, because the only time I pop out is when I have to go do an event. Like if I need to speak, like I'm gathering up, I'm here, boom, boom, like I'm doing that. But my day-to-day life consists of me and my kids. I go to work, I do what I need to do at work, and I come home. Every now and again, I'll pop up outside, but if I'm popping up outside, I'm popping up outside with people that I know, that I feel comfortable with, and we kind of pop out and I go back home. And so I'm gonna be honest, even the aspects of being a senior pastor, like it's different when you're an itinerant pastor. When you kind of just travel, you preach, and you go to different places, and you come back home, it's different. But when you are a senior pastor, you are there, like you are in the middle of all of the things, y'all. And it is so overwhelming sometimes. I'm giving y'all the real. It is so overwhelming sometimes. There are some moments that I just have to run to my office for a little bit, give me a little second, then I come back out. I can hear them out there, they playing bingo. They're like, we want our senior pastor to come out. And I'm just like, okay, all right. Hey, y'all, how y'all doing? Nice to meet y'all. Nice to see y'all. I'm gonna go hug everybody, and I may retreat to my office, right? After service, I'm gonna speak to everybody, then I may retreat to my office. But I'm learning, right, how to do better. But I just came on here just really to share and to have the conversation about getting in rooms. And sometimes it's stretching, sometimes it may be even a little intimidating. Sometimes too, I was telling even some of the ladies that we were at the conference together, and I was saying that sometimes you have to be careful too when you get in rooms. And I'm gonna give you the flip side of that. Sometimes you have to be careful when you go in some rooms, because sometimes some of those rooms will make you feel like you're not doing anything, right? So, like, if you're not making the millions, if you're not making the thousands, it will make it seem like you're not where you're supposed to be. But I came to tell you, like, listen, y'all, but it's levels to this. And even those of you that follow me, you may watch my life and da da da. And I see where you are, I see what you're doing, I see what you're building. Like, I want to encourage you and tell you, like, but there's levels to this, right? Like, I have been coaching for 6 years. It ain't like I just started coaching. I've been doing this for a while. So to get to this place, it's taking me time. Like, even when it comes to like speaking, right? And engagements, like I've been doing this for a long time. I've been preaching since I was 15, right? But it's all about timing. And so for those of you that are, you're getting these rooms, don't feel intimidated by where other people are versus where you are, because I want you to know there's levels to this. And so even when I was in the room and I was inspired by all of the things they were doing, and I'm in my mind writing down, okay, this is what I'm getting ready to do with my next one. This is what I see. This is what I like. I'm also being very intentional. I'm gonna help somebody today. I'm also being very intentional about where I am. Right? Where are my finances? What do I have the capacity to do? Even sometimes when you see other people's lives and like when they're building and even on with as they're navigating like a healing journey too, right? Like, oh my God, like I love where they are, but there's levels to this. And so learning how to embrace where you are, this is so good, but dream bigger, right? Somebody drop in the chat, dream bigger, right? I'm learning how to embrace where I am currently. I'm learning how to embrace this present moment, but I'm also dreaming bigger. And I stopped dreaming. Honestly, I did. But this weekend I'm awake now. I'm awake. I woke up and I'm dreaming bigger. I spent so much time even afterwards, like just writing out my dreams, writing out what I want. Where do I want to be financially? Where do I want to be mentally? What do I desire for my children? And so I want you guys to do the same thing. Dream. That's it. Dream big. I don't care what age you are, what stage you are in life, what phase. I'm gonna give you guys this little tidbit. I had a client. I absolutely love her. I had a client, and she was married for 27 years and got a divorce. When she got a divorce, she said she needed to provide for her children, right? So she gets a divorce, and y'all, she goes back to law school at like 54. 54, she goes back to law school. She practices law for like 20 some years. She retires, and at like 70 something, y'all, she got married. And it was just such a beautiful story about like not giving up, about it doesn't matter the age. And oftentimes we want to put an age cap on our dreams. And if I haven't done it by this time, I'm never going to get it. But I just want to encourage somebody today that even feels like at their age that I don't need to dream it. At their age, I shouldn't pursue and go after. If you want it, go get it. Listen, if you want it, go and get it. Love where you are and dream bigger. That's all I got. Love where you are and make the decision to dream big. I don't care what age you at. I don't care what stage you at. Like every time I talk to her, I am so inspired because at 54 years old, she made a decision to go to law school so that she could provide for her children. And for 20 some years, she practiced law and then found love again, all in the same process. So that's all I really came to say is embrace where you are and dream big. If you want to go back to school, go back to school. Listen, if you want to build a business, build a business. Whatever it is that you want to do, don't be afraid. Even sometimes we get stuck in these spaces where we say, like, I am who I am, ain't nobody gonna change me. But I even want to challenge somebody on the line tonight to go get healed, right? Go get healed, right? Because even sometimes our trauma shows up. And we continue the conversation that I just am who I am, and this is all I'm going to be, and this is all I'm going to do. And you just have to love me where I am. But loving you where you are can also be keeping somebody else from loving you. And loving you where you are, right now could also be keeping you from something great happening in your life, because we can allow even our trauma. So that's why I said, like, thank you, Shanice. That's why I said, like, everything that I'm talking about, like, this is why I can coach anything, not just business, not just ministry, but even in life, because we don't even realize that the continuous conversation and language that I am how I am is also keeping you from getting bigger. God wants to give you new. God wants to, give you new things and give you new relationships. But if you keep on staying stagnant and having the same conversation that I just am who I am, and you never reach the point where you be healed from your trauma and your issues, you will never see your dreams. Never get there. There are so many people today that they cannot get to their dreams because, and that goes back to what I said when I first got on here. I said, oftentimes we blame other people, but what I learned the most this weekend was about me. It had nothing to do about everybody else. One of the sessions was talking about being a founder. And what does it mean to be a founder, y'all? What does it mean to be the CEO? And can I tell you guys this, that you are the CEO of your life? You are. You are the CEO of your life. And because you are the CEO of your life, that you have the ability to put things in place to grow your life. It's not impossible. Is it going to take sacrifices? Absolutely. Are you going to have challenges? Absolutely. But I came to let you know that it's not impossible. But you just got to keep showing up. You just have to keep being consistent. And if I can give y'all any tools of how I got to where I am today, it's a couple of them. One is going to be God, right? God is the ultimate, right, of how I got here. Two, I surround myself around people that are doing better than me. My circle, my mentorship, my are all people that are where I'm trying to be, or they have the tools and the knowledge to keep me accountable to my goals. And the last one is I am intentional about what I want to do. I am concerned about me. I'll be concerned about the people. I'll be concerned about me and what I'm trying to do and where I'm trying to go. So listen, at the end of the day, you got the power, and that's all I got. You got the power to change your life, but it's all based off of your decisions and the decision that you choose to make. And you have to make the right decision. Be intentional about everything that you do. Be intentional about your healing, about your work ethic, because the Bible says this. It says that when you are faithful over a few things, He will make you ruler over many. And we're not experiencing the ruler over many because we don't steward the little well. So let's start to steward our little well, our dreams, our goals. Hear me, the $5,000. You ain't got the $10,000 yet, but let's steward the 5,000 well. Come on, you don't have the 10,000, but the 20,000, but let's steward the 10,000 well, right? You don't have the big house, let's steward our house well. You ain't got the car, let's steward our car well, right? Making sure that we're taking care of it, not just beating it up because it ain't what we want. Not leaving it a mess because it ain't, I feel God on that, because it ain't what we want. Not treating it right because it ain't what I want. It ain't what I thought. It ain't where I wanted it to be. But steward what you have little well. Because listen, God has a way of multiplying it. And in watching, even watching some of the people on the stage, they were like 2 years ago. I was just an attendee of this conference. Now 2 years, I'm a speaker of this. That's how fast. And I'm telling y'all, we've been saying this at the well that about this time next year, we've been saying at the well that things are going to happen so fast. Things are going to happen. They're going to shift so quickly. But I'm not just saying that it's going to shift quickly without giving us the tools, right, for us to be intentional so that we can see the shift. So y'all gonna continuously hear me talk about in the well, we gonna be mentally well. Come on, where's your mental at? Where is your finances, right? We've been talking all month long. It's been empowering you. And once a quarter, we're gonna do something along the lines of empowering you, because I want you every quarter to be able to take an assessment about where you are. The first quarter we did it. Come on, well, where y'all at? We had 3 days 2 days. And I talked about finances. We gave you the tools. If you put those things in place, in the next 3 months, you should be in a different place. So here we are again, 3 months later, we did another financial class. In the next 3 months, I'm not expecting you to be the same. There is something that you should have changed within those 3 months. So every single quarter, we are doing something around finances, mental health, physical health, right? Spiritual wellness that is supposed to grow you. Take the tools and do nothing with them, but take the tools.